Jack sat in his spacious office, his eyes gazing out the window at the endless blue sky. Today was not like any ordinary day. Today was special. The 1-year anniversary of his relationship with Tien. Leaning back in his chair, he intertwined his fingers, deep in thought. Tien always cherished simplicity filled with meaning. She was never one to ask for extravagant gifts or lavish celebrations. What made her happiest were sincere gestures that came from the heart. Jack wanted to surprise her, to create a beautiful memory that she would never forget. He did not just want to give her a gift, he wanted it to carry the emotions, memories, and deep love he had for her throughout the past year. After careful thought, Jack decided to create a small album filled with their most precious moments. Unlocked his phone and scrolled through the photos, memories flooding back like a slow-motion film. Their first meeting, she was a girl with clear yet sorrowful eyes, standing in a humble cave, her frail figure exuding quiet strength. He still remembered her hesitant, but warm gaze when she first looked at him. The first time they did charity work together, she silently assisted him in distributing medicine, caring for the elderly with gentle dedication. Her kindness and diligence touched his heart. It was then that he realized her heart was just as warm as her gentle smile. Each page of the album was a piece of their shared journey. The first time she visited his home. The first time he held her hand on a chilly night. The first time she blushed when he confessed his feelings for her. He carefully selected the most beautiful photos, adding short but heartfelt captions. The first moment we met, the day I knew you were the most special person. Your smile that day was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. Thank you for being by my side for the past year, making my life more meaningful than ever. When the album was complete, Jack flipped through its pages, a satisfied smile appearing on his lips. But one gift was not enough. He wanted something more. Something that symbolized an eternal bond between them. After much consideration, Jack chose an elegant bracelet with a gemstone corresponding to Tien's zodiac sign. It was not just a piece of jewelry. It was a symbol of their unbreakable connection. To accompany the gift, he decided to write her a heartfelt letter, something he had never done before. Taking out a crisp white sheet of paper, he picked up his pen and began to write. My dearest Tien, today marks a special day. 1 year since we fell in love. Over the past year I have watched you grow, become stronger and shine even brighter. But no matter how time passes, you will always be the girl I cherish the most. Every moment with you has been a precious memory in my life. This bracelet is a small gift, but I hope that whenever you wear it, you will remember that there is always someone who will protect and love you for a lifetime. Thank you for coming into my life. I love you, Jack. He reread the letter, folded it carefully, and placed it inside a delicate envelope. With the gifts ready, Jack stood up and walked to his wardrobe. Today he wanted to choose an outfit that was neat, yet not overly formal. Knowing that Tien appreciated simplicity, he picked a white dress shirt, paired with black jeans and classic leather shoes. Elegant yet understated. Glancing at himself in the mirror, he adjusted his collar and smiled in satisfaction. But there was still one last thing: flowers. Jack drove to a large florist shop in the city. Stepping inside, his eyes scanned for the most beautiful bouquet. Are you looking for a special bouquet for your girlfriend? The florist asked with a warm smile. Jack nodded. I want a bouquet that will make her feel my love and sincerity. The florist thought for a moment before suggesting, "Would you like a heart-shaped bouquet? It would be truly special." Jack liked the idea. He chose deep red roses, the symbol of passionate love, and requested them to be arranged into a heart shape. Holding the bouquet in his hands, Jack could not help but smile. He imagined the surprise onto Tien's face, the way her clear eyes would shine with emotion. Everything was ready. Now there was only one thing left to do. Go see the woman he loved. Jack stepped out of the flower shop, his heart filled with anticipation. Today would be a day to remember. Jack drove out of the city, passing through peaceful countryside roads, heading toward Tien's small farm. In his hands was a gift he had prepared for days, a memory album, capturing their moments together over the past year. A gemstone bracelet symbolizing an enduring connection, and a handwritten letter, filled with emotions he had never spoken aloud. Jack's heart beat faster with anticipation. Today marked 1 year since he and Tien had fallen in love. 1 year was not too long, but it was enough for them to share countless memories. From the initial awkward days, to the moments of deep understanding. He wanted today to be special. To see the joyful smile on the face of the woman he loved. His luxurious car came to a stop in front of the rustic wooden gate of the farm. Jack stepped out, taking in the familiar scene, the lush vegetable garden, the bougainvillea blooming by the porch, the chickens roaming freely in the yard. Everything here was simple, yet warm, just like the woman he cherished. As he walked into the courtyard, he saw Tien tending to her garden. She was wearing a simple dress, her long hair neatly tied back, her small hands skillfully pulling weeds. Under the soft morning sunlight, she looked like a serene and beautiful painting. Tien. Hearing the familiar deep voice, Tien started and looked up when she saw Jack standing there, holding a bouquet of vibrant red roses. Her eyes widened in surprise. "Jack, why are you here?" Jack smiled, stepping closer and extending the bouquet toward her. "Do you remember what day it is today?" Tien froze for a moment, before a rosy blush spread across her cheeks. "Our 1-year anniversary," Jack nodded, his eyes filled with affection. "I wanted to do something special for you today." Tien accepted the bouquet, gently stroking the soft petals. Her heart pounded, a wave of happiness surging through her. "I didn't expect you to remember so clearly." Jack chuckled. "Silly girl. How could I ever forget?" Tien lowered her head, smiling softly. Even after a year of being together, every time Jack showed his tenderness, she still could not stop her heart from fluttering. Jack reached out gently, tucking a loose strand of her hair behind her ear, his voice warm and low. "Would you like to come with me? I have a surprise for you." Tien looked up, curiosity shining in her eyes. "What surprise?" Jack only smiled, saying nothing more. He gently took her hand, leading her inside so she could change before leaving. With the car glided along the familiar road, carrying 2 people, and the tender emotions between them. Tien gazed out the window, her heart overflowing with happiness. After a while, Jack stopped, the car in front of a small garden on a high hill. This was the place they had visited when they first fell in love, a field of flowers and grass, offering a breathtaking view of the city from above. Tien's eyes widened in surprise. "Jack, why did you bring me here?" Jack smiled, stepped out of the car and gently took her hand, leading her toward a small, wooden table that had been prepared in advance. On the table was a carefully wrapped gift box, next to a soft leather-bound album. Open it to Tien. Curious. Tien picked up the album and flipped through the pages. As she saw the photos inside, her eyes gradually well up with tears. Each picture captured precious moments of their journey together. From their first meeting to strolls around the farm, to the joyful times they spent doing charity work. Beside every photo, Jack had carefully written short notes, describing his feelings at those moments. The day I first met you, I knew you were the one I wanted to protect forever. The moment you smiled, I knew there was nothing more beautiful in this world. You are the light in my life, the one who taught me what true love is. Tien was so touched that she could not find the words to speak. She turned to the last page and found a neatly placed handwritten letter. Looking up at Jack with teary eyes, she whispered, "Jack." "This is Jack." Gently wiped the tears from her cheek. "Read it, and you'll know the words I've never said out loud to." Tien's hands trembled as she unfolded the letter, reading each carefully written line. "My dear Tien, 1 year is not too long, but it is enough for me to know that you are the most important woman in my life. I am not good with flowery words, but I want you to know that every day with you is a day of happiness. Thank you for stepping into my life, for allowing me to love you. No matter what the future holds, I will always be by your side, protecting you and loving you, just like the very first day." By the time she reached the end of the letter, Tien could no longer hold back her tears. Jack pulled her into his embrace, his voice deep and comforting. "Don't cry, silly girl. Today is a happy day." Tien buried her face in his chest, her voice trembling. "I'm just so happy. I never imagined you would do all this for me." Jack chuckled softly and tightened his arms around her. "Because you deserve it, Tien." After a moment, Jack took out a small box and opened it, revealing a bracelet with a sparkling gemstone. "This stone matches your zodiac sign, symbolizing an eternal connection. No matter what happens, I hope you will always remember that there is someone who loves you more than anything." Tien lifted her hand, allowing Jack to gently place the bracelet around her wrist. The soft glow of the stone reflected the warmth of his love. Looking up at Jack, her lips trembled slightly. "Jack, I love you." Jack smiled, lowering his head to place a tender kiss on her forehead. Jack held Tien's small hand and gently led her toward the car. The sweet emotions from their earlier moment still lingered in both of their hearts. Tien glanced at the sparkling bracelet on her wrist, her lips curling into a happy smile. "Where are you taking me now?" she asked curiously. Jack glanced at her, his eyes filled with affection. "To a place I know you'll love." The car glided through the night, passing through the brightly lit streets of the city. Before long, it stopped in front of a large movie theater. Tien's eyes widened in surprise. "A movie theater?" Jack chuckled and opened the car door for her. "Today is our 1-year anniversary. I want to make this night special for you. Watch a movie with me, will you?" Tien nodded, her heart fluttering with joy. It had been a long time since she last went to the cinema. Life on the farm was peaceful, but it lacked experiences like this. They stepped inside and Jack quickly bought the tickets. While waiting for the screening time, he took her to the snack counter. "What flavor do you like?" Jack asked, looking at the display, filled with different types of popcorn. Tien thought for a moment before smiling. "Honey, I like sweet flavors." Jack smiled and immediately ordered a large honey popcorn and 2 sodas. When he received the food, he naturally carried everything himself, both the popcorn and the drinks, so that Tien didn't have to hold anything. "Let's go, it's time to head in." They entered the theater and sat in their reserved seats. The eye lights dimmed and the screen lit up, signaling the start of the film. The movie Jack chose was a gentle, yet touching story about love and sacrifice. Tien watched intently, sometimes laughing at the humorous moments, other times falling silent during the emotional scenes. Jack, however, wasn't entirely focused on the movie. Instead, he spent most of his time watching Tien. The way she tilted her head as she concentrated, how her eyes glistened with emotion. Every expression she made reminded him how beautiful the world was. A particularly heart-wrenching scene played on the screen. The female lead quietly walked away, not wanting to become a burden to the man she loved. The sorrow in the male lead's eyes made Tien's heart clench. Without realizing it, she suddenly felt a warm hand gently hold hers. Startled, Tien turned to see Jack looking at her, his gaze so tender that her heart skipped a beat. "I'm here," Jack whispered, as if to reassure her. Tien pressed her lips together, feeling as if Jack's warmth was wrapping around her. She gave a small nod and lightly squeezed his hand, letting the warmth seep through her skin. The movie continued, but now Tien wasn't just captivated by the story on the screen. Her heart was trembling from the gentle affection of the man sitting beside her. When the movie ended, and the theater lights brightened again, Tien still felt a lingering sense of melancholy from the story. Jack turned to her and smiled. "Did you like the movie?" Tien nodded, but then she suddenly realized something. Jack had held her hand the entire time. Her eyes blinked in surprise, and her cheeks gradually turned pink. "You? Why did you hold my hand the whole time?" Jack raised an eyebrow as if puzzled by her question. "Was I not supposed to?" "It's not that. It's just..." Tien lowered her head, unsure of what to say. Jack chuckled and reached out to gently ruffle her hair. "You're too cute." Tien's face turned even redder and she didn't dare look up. Jack watched her, a warm and affectionate feeling rising in his heart. "Let's go, I'll take you home." Jack took her hand and led her out of the theater. The night outside was quiet. The dim, yellow streetlights cast a warm and romantic glow over the road. The night breeze gently brushed against their skin, carrying the subtle scent of the evening. "Where are we going now to?" Tien asked curiously. Jack gently squeezed her hand, a mysterious smile playing on his lips. "Dinner, of course. Tonight is a special anniversary. I cannot let you go home without a proper dinner." Tien chuckled, her heart filled with a mix of tenderness and happiness. The car stopped in front of a restaurant, on the rooftop of a high-rise building. Tien widened her eyes, slightly flustered. "You brought me here." Jack gently took her hand and led her inside. "I want to celebrate our 1-year anniversary in a special way. A dinner above the city, where you can see the dazzling lights from above." As they stepped in, the restaurant's ambience left Tien in awe. The soft lighting, the neatly arranged table with flickering candles. It was warm and intimate. In the distance, the city lights sparkled like a vibrant painting. Jack, ever the gentleman, pulled out a chair for her before taking his seat across from her. A waiter politely brought out the menu, but Jack had already planned everything. "You do not need to choose," I have already ordered your favorite dishes. Tien looked at him, her eyes filled with emotion. You still remember what I like? Jack raised an eyebrow, resting his chin on his hand, as if deep in thought before teasing her. You like light flavors, nothing too greasy. Steamed shrimp, orange glazed fish, and pumpkin soup. Right. Tien laughed and nodded. You have a great memory because you are important to me. Jack's deep voice made her heart flutter. Before long, the food was served, beautifully plated and aromatic. Jack poured wine into their glasses, raising his in front of Tien. Thank you for coming into my life, for giving me a love that is whole and peaceful to us. May we always be together. Tien clinked her glass against his, her eyes shimmering with happiness. Thank you for always loving and cherishing me. Their dinner was filled with warmth and laughter. Jack continuously placed food onto Tien's plate, observing every little expression she made. Seeing her happy made him feel content. After they finished their meal, Jack suddenly took out a small box and placed it on the table. I have one more gift for you. Tien looked at him in surprise, her eyes round with curiosity. Another gift? Jack nodded with a smile. Today is special, I want you to feel that. Every moment with me is something to treasure. Tien eagerly opened the box, revealing a delicate necklace with a sparkling star pendant. This necklace is made of moonstone. They say it represents eternal love and protection. I want you to always wear it as a reminder that, no matter what happens, I will always be by your side. Tien gazed at the necklace, her heart overwhelmed with emotion. She looked up at Jack, her eyes glistening like autumn water. Jack, I do not know what to say. Jack gently stood up, walked around the table and knelt in front of her. Carefully he picked up the necklace and softly asked, let me put it on for you. Tien nodded slightly, her heartbeat quickening. Jack draped the necklace around her neck, fastening the clasp with care. As his fingers brushed against her skin, Tien shivered slightly, her cheeks turning crimson. From now on you have my protective charm. Tien smiled gently, touching the pendant, feeling warmth spreading through her heart. Jack sat down beside her, whispering, thank you for loving me, for giving me the chance to love you. Tien leaned against his shoulder and murmured, me too, Jack. As long as I have you, I have everything. Outside, the city continued to shine brightly, but for them, the most beautiful light was the love they held for each other. Under the starry night sky, the world seemed to fall silent, making way for the sweetest moments between two people in love. The restaurant balcony where Jack and Tien sat glowed with a soft warm light from the small lanterns hanging along the railing, creating a romantic and intimate atmosphere. Tien gently caressed the pendant that Jack had given her, feeling the coolness of the gemstone, yet also sensing the lingering warmth of his touch. She looked up at Jack, her gaze filled with tenderness and gratitude. I do not know how to thank you, Jack. Her voice was as light as a passing breeze. Jack gazed at her, his eyes holding an entire universe of love. Reaching out, he softly tucked a stray strand of her hair behind her, his touch gentle and full of affection. If you want to thank me, then just stay by my side. To Tien, her heart trembled at his words. She could feel every beat of her heart, conflicted, overwhelmed but also incredibly happy. But I always feel so lucky. I am nothing special, yet you love me so much. Jack chuckled, his hand gently tightening around hers, their fingers interlacing firmly, as if to promise that they would never be apart. Who says you are not special? In my eyes, you are the most wonderful girl in this world. You are gentle, kind, strong, and most importantly, you are the one my heart has chosen. Tien bit her lip lightly, feeling as though everything around her had faded away, leaving only the two of them in this moment. She slowly leaned her head against his shoulder, listening to the steady rhythm of his heartbeat, feeling the warmth of his presence. Jack, thank you for coming into my life. Thank you for loving me like this. Jack held her close, resting his chin gently on her hair, his deep voice carrying the weight of a promise. You do not need to thank me. Just stay by my side so I can love you. Take care of you, that is enough for me. Tien closed her eyes, letting his words flow through her, like a stream of warmth, filling her heart with happiness. Then, as if something deep inside urged her, she lifted her gaze to Jack, her eyes clear yet profound. On impulse, she reached out, her fingertips brushing softly against his cheek. Jack froze for a moment, surprised by her unexpected action, but soon he smiled, letting her explore her own emotions. No longer hesitating, Tien stood on her toes and placed a gentle kiss on Jack's lips. Jack's eyes widened in surprise, but soon he smiled into the sweet kiss, responding to her with equal tenderness. At that moment, it felt as though the entire world had disappeared, leaving only the two of them, in the most romantic embrace. That kiss was not too long, not too hurried. It was a gesture of pure sincerity, a heartfelt treasure that Tien offered to the most important man in her life. When she pulled away, her face was flushed red and her heart pounded wildly. She lowered her head shyly, murmuring, I just wanted to thank you in my own way. Jack let out a soft laugh, reaching out to gently stroke her hair. Silly girl. You do not need to thank me with words or anything else. As long as you love me, that is enough for me. Tien bit her lip lightly. Then suddenly a tender smile appeared on her lips. She leaned her head against Jack's chest, listening to the strong rhythm of his heartbeat, just like hers at this very moment. I love you, Jack. Jack tightened his embrace, holding her close. His voice was gentle, yet it carried all the love and devotion he had for her. I love you too, Tien. Forever under the starry night sky. In the midst of this peaceful atmosphere, they shared the most genuine emotions, and both of them knew that this love would never change. At that moment, a light breeze passed by, carrying the faint fragrance of flowers from the small garden below. Tien shivered slightly, and Jack immediately noticed. Without hesitation, he took off his jacket and gently draped it over her shoulders. Are you cold? Tien shook her head, but she still pulled the jacket closer, feeling the warmth of his body lingering on it. With you here, I do not feel cold at all. Jack smiled, his gaze filled with love, as he looked at the girl in his arms. You really are the one girl I cannot help but love. Tien let out a soft laugh, tilting her head to look at him. Her eyes sparkled with a rare playfulness. Then, if one day I become too mischievous, will you hate me? Jack did not answer immediately. Instead, he simply smiled, before leaning down to place a gentle kiss on her forehead. No matter how mischievous you become, No matter how much you change, I will always love you. His words were like a promise. An unwavering declaration too. Tien was deeply moved. She reached out and wrapped her arms around Jack, holding him tightly, as if wanting to become one with him. Jack, thank you. Thank you for everything. Jack said nothing, only embracing her in return, letting their warmth intertwine, letting their hearts beat in unison. That night they did not say much more. They simply sat together, cherishing this peaceful moment, because they knew that as long as they had each other, this world would always be filled with happiness.